Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to our show. It's technically my show, but somehow you guys make it yours too. When I look at the comments, and I'm probably going to be looking at the comments every once in a while today. I do want to make a couple updates just to pique your interest. I will probably be having a debate later this week, maybe moderating the debate concerning the recent decision to remove Chief Wahoo as the mascot of the Cleveland Indians. There's a topic I've talked about briefly a number of times. I think I did do a whole video on it once a few months ago. That is obviously it's something I know very deeply because I come from the city. I did follow the team for many years. I am a Cubs fan though, but of course, living here, I know a lot about what goes on with the team. And the fans are nice people, so I will probably have a debate on that. I'm trying to get a debate organized for, a topic regarding the Zimbabwe, the Gugu or Hundi, for those of you that are interested. So that's a couple of channel updates. And of course, the second episode of the Year of the Rat, I have been working on it, but it's harder to do it on this laptop than when I get my desktop back because I'm replacing the keyboard. I don't know if I told you guys I had some technical difficulties. So please bear with me. I am working on that. There will be more to talk about. There might be too much to talk about. That's the beauty of a story like that, which has been suppressed for over 20 years now, that the Clinton administration essentially worked hand in hand with Chinese intelligence operatives to take over the DNC and the Democratic Party. And yet nobody cares. For some reason, that's not really collusion. Cooperating with our most hostile foreign adversary. You know, people want to talk about Russia. They want to talk about Putin and all of that. It's really, I think it's secondary. You know, there's problems with Vladimir Putin. I'm not going to say that we should support him. I'm not going to say that he's a positive influence on the world, but I definitely would say that China is more of a threat to the United States than Russia is. And I'm not saying that because I despise the Chinese. I'm saying that because I respect China. I think China is it's a very interesting country. With a lot of very potent advantages, given its economic influence, given its defense uh, industry, which is very powerful, and its gigantic population. So yeah, Year of the Rat. Look for the next video to come out either tomorrow or I'd probably say sometime later this week. So yeah, I should probably be working on it tomorrow. You could see it tomorrow. Pinochet asked, "Have you seen some of the Lawrence Southern videos on South Africa?" No, but I did see it on my feed, so I will check it out. I do know I do know what she's talking about. I think it's a major problem. I oppose all genocides, regardless of who the racial target is, and if there is a genocide against white South Africans, then yeah, it's our duty to offer some sort of solution to that, if we can come up with one, to keep those people from being massacred. And it's not a joke. Those people that think that this issue with South Africa and the deaths of these farmers is some sort of non-issue, I can assure you that there are issues over there, and you know those people, whatever your thoughts about the apartheid era, the idea of ending apartheid was not to create some never-ending cycle of quote-unquote justice, where people would end up getting murdered in order to redress the errors of past generations. So that's all I'm going to talk about with regards to that. So Pinochet is saying it's Rhodesia all over again. Larry Gerke is here, of course. Haven't seen Larry for a couple of days, but I'm assuming he was watching a lot of important content. So we're going to address a couple of key topics. I'm going to go and start with the. Larry says, "Send lawyer, guns, and money." Yeah, that's your complaint about everything. Lawyers, guns, and money. Look, if people are getting shot somewhere day after day, it's not out of the ordinary for people to object to that. I'm not trying to say that we should intervene and send. I think he's using that complaining about the what do they call it, the confessions of an economic hitman. He's like saying, oh, I'm basically advocating for that. Well, I'm advocating for some sort of solution. If people get shot and murdered, oh, now you're quoting Yogi Berra. I don't remember. I think they have their own conversation now, Larry and Augusto, that I don't really understand. It's like their AI. They've developed their own language between each other. So I'll let you guys carry on, but this means I can technically ignore your comments, right? So anyway, I guess welcome you guys for yeah, it's Warren Zevon. Welcome you guys. I hope you share the stream. I know both of you act like you don't have social media, but if you don't have social media, it still means you can yell at your nephew down the hall and tell him to watch it and share it, because your nephew probably has social media. Or if you don't have a nephew, I know in the case of both of you guys, you have parole officers, or you have some other form of person supervising you, maybe one of these mental ward. Um, Larry Gerke says social media. No, print media. Just print this live stream on a bunch of flyers, frame by frame, and just spread it all around. But yeah, I do like it when you guys come in, because you provided me a lot of entertainment. I started out saying welcome to our stream, because it's like you guys kind of make it feel like this isn't just my stream. I kind of get sidetracked by you, but that's exactly the problem, that nobody can see your comments anyway. So let me keep going. I'm going to minimize you jackasses. So in order of least importance. So I do have, oh, forgot to tell you, I did upload a video called Social Society versus Theology, Judaism and or Socially Liberal Jews. And it's it's kind of a break from current events. I think you should check it out if you haven't checked out some of my non-current event stuff. It really does delve into some of the topics that are relevant to that. It was done in response to somebody who posts a lot about that issue. Now, again, we're starting with order of least importance in the Grammys. Now, I actually have footage of the audience at the Grammys clapping for the best album guy, and it goes kind of like this. So you see everybody, you have this lively audience of people just showing just the artistic splendor of this country. This is what look at this musical masterpiece going on there. Everybody, you see all the different genres of music represented at the Grammys. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened yesterday. And I know some of you think that I'm speaking hyperbolically, but I'm not speaking hyperbolically. That's exactly, if you watch the clips of those awards, you just see these idiots continually rising out of their seats and clapping for their friends who are saying the exact same crap that they were forced to say 5 minutes ago. And there's Pinochet, keep clapping or you die. No, he's not even. That's not even a joke, though. There are places where that's happened, where if you don't clap enthusiastically enough, yeah, you're considered some sort of deviant, and you get sent to some sort of camp and forced labor or something, forced labor, murdered, whatever it is. That's the central element of these totalitarian governments, and that's what the Grammys is. It might not be as severe in terms of personal safety, but I can guarantee you, people who do not subscribe to that point of view, they don't get deals, they don't get sponsorships. They're basically shunted to the sidelines. Their career is blackballed. It's blackballed. That's what happens to people who question the now, it's an oxymoronic term, but the liberal orthodoxy. And there's I didn't watch the Grammys. I did watch a couple of the lowlights, and it's sad because I'm a person, I don't listen to nearly as much music as I used to, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who's been just inundated with a lot of news content and as opposed to musical content. But there's so many artists, I believe, that don't get the proper amount of recognition for their contributions to music, or at least ones that I think they made like a huge impact on my life. Okay, now some of them you might laugh at, like Oasis. Some of you might say, "Oh, Oasis, they're friggin' copied the Beatles or whatever." Okay, I mean, that's your opinion, but I can guarantee you that Oasis does not go up to a podium at these Grammys or something and just spout some sort of politically correct garbage that somebody else wrote for them. And if they do, then I lose a lot of respect for them. Um, there's a real difference nowadays, and I did a stream on this on Sunday, between there's a real difference between the activist music of today and the activist music of past generations. Think about the 60s with Joan Baez, or there's Rage Against the Machine. Nowadays, by the way, Rage Against the Machine were very edgy in the late 90s. They protested the Democratic Convention in 2000. Okay, so they protested the Democratic Convention in 2000, made a huge ruckus. Everybody was paying attention to that. So they come in 2016, these people who are, by the way, Maoists, Tom Morello, the night watchman of Rage Against the Machine. He went and organized a bunch of concerts and whatever, made a free concert, Rage Against the Machine, here. And I think it might have just been him, or I don't remember if it was him or the rest of Rage Against the Machine. They made like a public concert here in Cleveland for the Republican National Convention, and nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. It was a non-story. It was one of the biggest letdowns of the election, was the fact that the protests here were duds. There was if you want to think about it this way, compare the tiny protests at the time in I think it was July or August against the Republican convention, and compare that to the protests that happened after the election, and you see that suddenly people started to care. People who were pretty much brain dead until then started to, quote unquote, care. The entire movement is astroturf. People didn't care until after Donald Trump won the election, and that's on them. There's plenty of things to criticize them for, but to criticize Donald Trump for, but I don't think I don't think that um, people who suddenly rolled out of bed after November 8th, 2016 have the right to call themselves, freedom fighters or activists or whatever. It's a complete fraud. It's the same thing with the Grammys. It's the same thing with the Golden Globes. These people call themselves artists, but the majority of the content produced today is not going to be very strongly remembered back, 20, 30 years ago, 20 or 30 years from now. Most of the Grammy winners from yesterday are going to be afterthoughts. Winning these awards does not really convey any true value to the work that these people do. I mean, there's certain albums that I've listened to that I don't know if they got an award, and I don't care. The O album from Damien Rice, one of the greatest, most, it's a depressing album. It's very, every song kind of stands on its own, very melodic. I have no clue whether it won a Grammy. It's and frankly, I don't care. It has the award of affecting the way people react to it. That's the value of a piece of music. And if you want to talk about, not something depressing, let's say a great dance song, like Earth, Wind, and Fire's. What do they call it? Celebration, one of the most iconic songs ever. September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Well, how did it get that way? These people, they put together a song that created this atmosphere of people to go out on the dance floor and celebrate. That's not the way the majority of these bands today behave. What's Pinochet saying? He's saying the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls is actually Byro from Galactic Bubble Productions. I don't know what Galactic Bubble Productions is. Johnny Resnick. I have no clue what Pinochet's talking about. Oh, this is nice. Larry's putting he's doing this oh, okay, I see what he's doing. That's nice. I'll check that out, Larry. It's about Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, about probably some mercenary in Biafra. That's interesting. I am interested in that, so I'll check that out later. Enough about that. Enough about the Grammys. Let's talk about the real topics that are burning the airwaves right now. Burning the airwaves right now is the McCabe resignation from the FBI, and not nearly enough is the Burns Strider accusations with Hillary Clinton. And let's do the Hillary Clinton ship first, because again, order of least importance. This is something I think we could have predicted. Maybe the character with every Clinton scandal, I think the format follows the same template. It's just a different character takes the center stage, and the character in most of her life that's taken the center stage in these ridiculous sexual scandals has been former President Bill Clinton. But in other cases, there's been her brother Tony Rodham, not really for sexual stuff, more for corporate fraud stuff. You could say Anthony Weiner, of course, same idea, just a guy, total clown, who can't keep his friggin' wiener off of what is it, Instagram or whatever, Twitter. These people. Burns Strider, spiritual advisor to the Hillary Clinton campaign, you had one job, and that's to appear to be an upright, socially responsible, spiritual person. You had one job, and you couldn't do it. I guess he kept it together for 10 years because obviously he didn't leak out that he did these things, and obviously she didn't leak out that he did these things, but he did do these things, and this is not a matter of conjecture. This isn't a matter of rumors. This isn't something that happened that people are like, oh, James Franco, did he really do this or not? People know that this happened. And I, for one, think that with this admission that this happened in the Hillary campaign, the whole charade of her being an icon of women standing up to chauvinism and sexism and misogyny, that charade must be dispensed with once and for all, because hear me out here. This isn't about her protecting her husband from sexual allegations anymore. That there is a very thin defense that you don't jeopardize your own family, and you must defend them. I mean, that's there's a problem with that. I'll admit it, but there is something that is legitimate about defending your family or your spouse or whatever. Even though I don't believe that that's really why she didn't stick a fork in Bill. I think she did it because she thought he was indispensable to her career. Because in all honesty, when it comes to personality, when it comes to intellect, when it comes to strategic thinking, Hillary Clinton isn't nearly as smart as Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is a very deep thinker, and Hillary Clinton has other talents that she's very good at. I think she is a good organizer. She's a good person at she would be a good behind the scenes politician if that was her only ambition, but it's not. Her ambition is to concentrate as much power into her hands as possible. She couldn't take a role behind the scenes. That's why she was so problematic as first lady, because she was overstepping the boundaries of the duties of that office on some sort of feminist crusade, the healthcare shit and whatever. That was her downfall as first lady, and she could have really easily, um, you know, compensated for that by not doing many of the illegal things that she did, like the Filegate controversy regarding FBI files used to pursue some of her political opponents, some of their political opponents, her and Bill's. Um, she didn't she had virtually no bounds to her ambition and her ethical window. She was willing to do anything because everything that would bring her more power justified whatever she needed to do in her mind. And in this case, you have this guy. I don't know if he's a reverend or not, Bernd Strider, and he committed several acts of sexual harassment against another campaign worker, a female campaign worker. It's important to keep that in mind nowadays, that you can sexually harass people of either sex. But yeah, this guy, he took advantage of this, and all she had to do was fire him, and if she really wanted to be, the better person, and I mean, yes, it would have jeopardized some of her campaign, but she should have publicized this to say that no, I don't tolerate this type of behavior in my campaign, and people would shoot back, well, Bill did have his issues, so who the fuck are you? And she'd say, well, I'm not going to let that force me to continue to let people uh, come to my campaign and use it to shield their own nefarious activities. And if you want to go back, yes, I do think she should have divorced Bill Clinton. But her career was more important than her personal beliefs. and it's a real shame. Uh, yeah, Pinochet's back to telling some funny stories. Larry Gerke says to attract Wild Bill, she must have been able to suck a bowling ball through a garden hose. That that's I know that that's stolen from Lionel. I think the one that I really like from Lionel is when he says that that somebody can eat corn through a tennis racket. That's my favorite one. That's, I mean, I don't know if both of you guys watch Lionel, but I can recognize one of his expressions right away. But here's Patty Solis Doyle. Uh, whoops. Here we go. So she said that Clinton wouldn't let her fire Bern Strider. Now, for those of you that don't know, Patty Solis Doyle was Hillary Clinton's top aide during the 2008 campaign, apart from Huma Abedin, who's more of like her personal aide. Patty Solis Doyle is Hillary Clinton's professional. She was her top professional lieutenant. Okay, so let's say Huma Abedin was like her personal assistant for everything. Um, everything personal with the foundation, with her career in the Senate. Well, Patty Solis Doyle was a little more senior on the grand scheme of things, but not as personally connected. She didn't follow Hillary Clinton around like some sort of you know vestigial organ like Huma Abedin did. Instead, a New York Times report on Friday revealed that Clinton refused to fire Bernd Strider, a faith advisor on her 2008 presidential campaign, after credible accusations of sexual harassment were made against him. Instead of getting rid of Strider, Clinton told him to go to counseling and docked several weeks of his pay, while the woman who accused him of harassment was reassigned to a new job. Solis Doyle, who claims Clinton personally shut down her recommendation to fire Strider, spoke publicly about the incident for the first time on CNN. A young woman made a complaint to our head of operations about sexual harassment against Bernd Strider. Solis Doyle recalled, the instance was brought to my attention, and I did my due diligence. I interviewed all the parties involved. I looked at the evidence involved. I looked at the emails he had sent. I looked at other documents and came to the conclusion that there was sexual harassment involved. My recommendation to the senator was to fire him, and I was overruled. Solis Doyle wouldn't say specifically why Clinton opted not to fire Strider, but she seemed to hint that there were concerns that firing him would have created bad press for the campaign. It wasn't an easy call, she said. We were just a few months away from voting, beginning to start with the caucuses and the primaries. Firing a high-profile person on the campaign certainly would have made news and caused a distraction. So this is before the campaign in 2008 even started. And they were already thinking, we need the polling to go our way. We can't fire people even though they're sexually harassing our staff. Yeah, that's the Clintons' mindset. And I saw earlier on Fox News. I was at the gym, so I don't watch Fox News usually, but I was at the gym and the TV was there, and I was on the elliptical. So I did plug in, so you can forgive me, even though I'm not fond of everything Fox News does, and I think that some of the stuff on their channel is kind of retarded. But yeah, they had Philippe Reines, one of Clinton's top aides, come on and basically explain away that yes, she had a lot of conflicts within her own soul about this, and that Hillary Clinton is definitely wrestling with her inner conscience about this. No, that's ridiculous. If you think about it, if she had been wrestling with her inner conscience about it, she would have done something about this Bernd Strider issue over the past 10 years. Now, obviously, after the campaign's over, this guy doesn't work for them anymore. I think he ended up getting fired eventually after, it just wouldn't stop. But by then, Solis Doyle was also fired. And they'd already moved this victim out to a different job. So you know, how many times do you have to get in the same situation and blame everybody else besides yourself for your own failures? Hillary Clinton had the chance to show organizational leadership. Forget about national leadership, it's organizational leadership in her campaign. And what did she do? She decided, I'm going to do what's expedient for the polls. And that's pretty much that. This incident is indicative of her behavior over her entire career. The principles are, ancillary to the main goal of her entire life, which is to concentrate more power in her hands and just amass more riches. And that's all we have to say about her today. Let's take a look at this. She removed the chrome from a tow hitch. That's an old one. Come on, guys, get a little more original. She was really something back before LSD, not stolen. Well, I don't know what that means. Had a seal for a friend 20 years ago. Craziest guy I've ever known, and that's saying something. Hillary only wrestles with other people's conscience and money. And Gerke says, wait, every time she failed, she got bailed, bailed out and promoted. Yeah, exactly. Hillary Clinton is an example of somebody who failed upward. Very few tangible, successful projects throughout her career. Her health plan failed in the 90s. A lot of weird shenanigans in the White House that weren't necessarily policy decisions, but they certainly were organizational failures. Yeah, I do believe that she's a failure at almost every stage in her career. Much more of a failure than Donald Trump was in any of his endeavors, and he's not perfect either. He had bankruptcies, but he recovered from them, and I think that criticizing Donald Trump for anything that of the same type that Hillary Clinton has done, I can't find many things that he's done that are of the same deep, flawed, uh, judgment pattern that she has. And judgment pattern. Let's get into the next topic, which is the issue of the deputy director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, resigned today. This is the end, in my opinion, of the Obama FBI. The Obama FBI, as long as Andrew McCabe was employed there, they had somebody who could cover for all of their idiocy. All of the failures. The fact that they paid money for false information from a British intelligence officer who was working for a private lobbyist, and a lot of that information that he also got from this PR guy, apparently. It says here, this is from Sarah A. Carter, a very, very independent journalist. And she says McCabe resigns after FBI Director Wray reviews House FISA abuse memo. And it says here, FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe was forced to resign Monday just as the House Intelligence Committee is expected to vote on the public release of a classified memo this afternoon revealing extensive Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, abuse under the Obama administration, sources told this reporter. McCabe apparently lashed out to his colleagues when he was told he would be asked to resign, according to sources. FBI Director Christopher Wray viewed the 4-page memo on Sunday. Sources familiar with the discussion said McCabe, who is facing 3 federal inquiries for conflicts of interest during his time at the FBI, is one of the numerous names mentioned in the classified memo detailing FISA abuse, according to sources who reviewed the memo. The federal inquiries into allegations against McCabe, who was expected to resign in March, are based on documents and interviews conducted by this reporter over the past year and range from sexual discrimination to improper political activity. McCabe, a central figure in the ongoing Russia investigation against Trump, is also part of the Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz's ongoing review into the FBI's handling of former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server to send classified information. Current and former FBI officials said McCabe's resignation is the beginning of more resignations to come. There are people lining up in the bureau to go after McCabe, said a former FBI official. There will be with knowledge. There will be a cleanup at the bureau of his cronies. According to several U.S. officials, McCabe's government communications were collected as part of the ongoing Department of Justice Inspector General investigation, which is expected to be completed by March. FBI spokeswoman Carol Craddy declined to comment on the resignation. The process to declassify the document could take anywhere up to 5 days. President Trump is not expected to object to the memo's release, and the House Intelligence Committee is expected to pass it, stated White House officials in an earlier report. My understanding is they will proceed with the vote tonight. So they're talking about the House vote, which already went through. So yes, they voted to release it. Hashtag release the memo. The classified memo is considered explosive and shocking, and hundreds of Republican members and only a dozen or so Democrats have taken the opportunity to review the report in a secured area, according to congressional sources. The memo also contains information that suggests Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein reauthorized warrants based in part on the unverifiable dossier to gather communications on former Trump advisor Carter Page, sources said. House Freedom Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows of North Carolina said that he is hopeful the memo will be released to the public and called its contents shocking. So then let's scroll down. You have Democrat Adam Schiff of California. He says that the memo is profoundly misleading. Now, let's do a little analysis on this topic. Andrew McCabe, deputy director, is one of the main culprits in how the FBI became so opaque that you do see this pattern going back way before the Clinton investigation, where they serve the political aims of the administration in power at the time, the Obama administration. I don't know if all of them are committed Democrats, but enough of them are committed political hacks who are willing to they're willing to break the law and go along with illegal plots such as the wiretapping, such as this insurance policy, such as talking between each other about ways to screw over a presidential candidate. These people, I think they need to have the book thrown at them. James Comey spent his entire time before the campaign and during the campaign and after the campaign pretending, I'm this Boy Scout. There were all these people saying, oh, he's a devout Catholic. He'll do the right thing. Well, he's broken the trust of his office. He leaked a classified memo, and he should be dealt with to the full extent of the law. And this is not what's happening today. What's the release of the memo thing is nothing like that, because it's being done according to the procedure as outlined by Congress. Adam Schiff probably gets out of the shower to pee. Yeah, he does look like that. He looks like the biggest. Adam Schiff has this pathetic face of the nerd from school that gets up and reads his book report, and when everybody else is asleep, everybody else has fallen asleep already, and he finishes telling his book report, and he's like, teacher, fucking dock everybody else 12 points because this is the best fucking book ever. Well, nobody cares if it's the best book ever. Your report was boring as fuck, and it didn't say anything important. This is let me see here. Here's some photos of this weirdo. He has the the crazed look of some sort of animal that's been let loose. Yeah, there's another nice one. Let loose and in the yard, and nobody filled his water dish or the food dish or anything. Yeah, there's the guy's a lunatic. The guy is a lunatic, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to be even-handed on this. The Democratic members of the House Intelligence Committee are obstructing the discovery of the truth concerning abuses by our intelligence industry, our intelligence services. And McCabe is the first step. McCabe does have to be. I think eventually there will be wrongdoing that's found, and he must be prosecuted, and his ball sack must be nailed to the fucking table as an example of what happens when your own Justice Department disregards the actual laws and statutes as underlined in the Constitution and the U.S. Criminal Code. Pinochet says, didn't he claim to have rock solid evidence 18 months ago? No, he has a floppy wiener. That's what he has. He's pretty much Adam Schiff is a disgrace. The guy is he makes me physically sick listening and watching him, listening to and watching him. And then that's the beginning. Adam Schiff, I think, is the next stage. I believe that the next stage has to be discovery of whether congressional Democrats helped promulgate, and Republicans, by the way, John McCain or any of these other, moderate moderate Republicans or rhinos or globalist Republicans, McCain, all those people, they have to be held accountable for any of these indiscretions that they have done with classified information, because it's not Donald Trump who's been leaking all this stuff. It's people like them. And if they were found to have collaborated with some of these, Peter Strzok or this Andrew McCabe, and I think Andrew McCabe's communications, when they're revealed, will put him in the same league as those two, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, and some of these other people, Bruce Orr. It will be revealed that Andrew McCabe committed. I believe he will be revealed to have committed acts that could be prosecuted. Am I allowed to say that he's a criminal? I don't think so at the moment. Adam Schiff and Chuck Schumer have been running at peak retard for years now. It'll be nice to see it end. Yeah, and maybe if some of these people can be cleared out, maybe there will be a second party that we can. It's wrong for us to only be able to trust a single party in Washington, because in reality we can't even trust that party. The Republican Party is also fucked. So we need a competent opposition just as much as we need a competent government, and these people are incompetent in all of it. So yeah, I do believe that with time we will discover more about Adam Schiff, possibly Chuck Schumer, and the Senate Democrats, that will lead to a number of ethics issues, possibly criminal issues. Who knows? I can't say for sure, but I believe it's going to happen at some point. So, we've gone through all of that with McCabe and the Clintons. Excuse me, release the memo and the Grammys. I think it's a good time to break. Please see some of the other videos that I've been talking about below. Pinochet says, did you see the scrambling, rambling, sputtering Nancy Pelosi interview earlier? Was that from the day? Because if there was one, I'd like to see it. I like watching her squirm and confuse President Trump with President Bush. So let me know if it's the one I'm thinking of, or if it's today, because I haven't seen it. So that's it for today. We'll break, come back tomorrow stronger and fresher and ready to see. Remember, tomorrow's the State of the Union address. So it's anyone's guess what's going to be revealed there. So talk to you later and have a splendid evening. From Bold Like a Leopard, this is Ramon, and it's your show just as much as it's my show.